Hello everybody and welcome back to the TripleJump podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
My name is Peter.
And my name is Ashton.
Welcome back, Peter.
Thanks.
Welcome back,
How you
Peter.
feeling?
Feeling much better.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Did
the German germs have gone.
The German germ? They be German.
Yeah, I've been to Germany and picked up some germs from Germany.
And hurt your knee as well.
And hurt my knee.
Yeah, Jesus, what happened in Germany? What were you doing there?
This
The
always
man was
happens when I go to Germany.
raving
It
in
was in Germany when I got amnesia, when I fell on my head and I just forgot where I was. And I was like, am I in Germany? Why am I in Germany? That was really scary. But don't know. I just wandered around with bad shoes on. And then also, I guess at the airport, or maybe earlier than that.
Got coughed on.
No, not even got. Well, can you get plops from coughs?
Well, maybe.
Maybe.
Don't know.
Depends
Like
if you
it
take a
was,
big
You can get a
amount.
stomach
certified.
bug.
It was certified stomach. It was plops and and the accompanied friends of plops.
Right.
You know, sometimes
Like
we
a
say
stomach
plops,
bug.
and we don't mean it. But this time it was, and it wasn't food poisoning because me and Amy ate exactly the same stuff for like a day and a half, and she was fine. So
Interesting.
someone coughed on me, or I touched something that someone touched in an airport, or that's where I'm guessing I got it, and it was a bad time
Oh, dear.
for several days.
But while you were out there, you had a nice time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. While I was there, it was fine. I didn't even have sore legs while I was there. I was like under some
It's
kind
the
of
UK,
illusion.
isn't it, really? That's
Yeah.
what
That's the
happened.
problem.
It's when I got back, it was like, you do realize you walked around with bad shoes? And I'm like, did I? And my knees are like, yes, you did. Here, let me show you. And I'm like, oh, you could have told me while I was doing it, and I might have been a bit more sensible. But that's not how bodies work sometimes.
No.
They keep secrets from you until it's too late.
Are you going to get those big sort of Skechers shoes with like massive soles on them?
Well, I'm wearing my running shoes at the moment because
More
they've got really
comfortable.
And
good
they're
arch
really
support.
bright blue, and it's quite fun seeing them
Oh,
because
scroll.
normally
Shows
Peter
you?
wears like burgundy.
Blimey. Yeah, look how blue. Well,
I put them on
You
in a
can't
hurry.
see it.
slightly. Well,
Yeah,
it's kind of
there.
dark on camera.
Lit.
I put them on in a hurry yesterday morning. I was like, I need to switch to good shoes, and they were really muddy. And I was like, okay, well, I'll need to clean them.
They're
on
the
the weekend.
jazziest shoes I've ever seen Peter Austin wear.
Yeah,
Normally it's like just a burgundy Converse.
burgundy or navy.
Nice
Yeah.
shoes, though.
Yeah.
Good shoe choices, I would say, normally, but they betrayed you this time.
Well, not these ones, but
Well,
I
no,
see
the
what
other
you mean.
ones.
Yeah, those ones did. Yeah, but these feel really. I might just wear these all the time now.
Hey, join the club.
Just be
I
jazzy.
wear my running
They're
shoes.
so comfortable.
I mean,
I
they're
wear
not
trainers
jazzy, but they're...
all of the time.
Yeah. So, form over function, right? No, function over form, right?
and
Maybe?
these don't. They do not.
Comfort over style?
I have no idea what we're talking
They
about.
don't match anything I wear, but they just feel great. So yeah, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, how are you guys?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, slow nod.
Yep.
All good. We're all good in the
Good.
neighborhood over here. Well, we've had basically a non-stop week of playing Connect games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mainly me.
Yeah. Well, actually, no.
you have played a lot of Connect
Me
games
too.
as well.
Me too for a video, and it made me do squats yesterday. And squats is an exercise that I really don't like doing because I have horrible knees, and it's really uncomfortable to crouch down and then stand back up again. And I was like, okay, I've done a few squats now. That'll probably be fine. I woke up at like 4 a.m. this morning, and my left knee was going, ah, what did you do? And I had to in bed like wrench my knee up and like bend it that way, and then I twist it the other and like bend it up that way
What?
just to try and stretch it to make it calm
You
down.
took the leg off.
I took my leg off.
Blew
and,
on the joint.
like
Popped it
waggled
back
it
in.
around like that.
Like
Yeah.
a Nintendo N64 cartridge.
Yeah.
And then it calmed down. And then as soon as I sat down at my desk, the knee started going, oh God, no. And it's not sort of like a dull ache. It's like a stabbing pain, like something, you've done something to me.
Yeah,
So then
thanks.
I just sat with my leg. Oh, there.
Oh.
I just sat with my leg outstretched at my desk for like 45 minutes. And now it's calmed down again. So cheers, Connect.
Thanks, Connect.
Appreciate you. Really good,
You are the controller.
good piece of kit there.
And you've thrown yourself at the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is not our Connect podcast. This is not our
Our
Germany
health updates.
Germany plot podcast.
Yeah.
This is, of course, a video game podcast. Each and every week, we're sponsored by a very real video game adjacent sponsor. Helps us keep that bulb on in the studio.
so many spiders in your toilet right now.
And they love it. I
Yeah.
don't know why it's so cold. It's so cold, and I don't know why they love it, but there is so many spiders in the toilet.
There are
Next
none
door.
in here.
No, they're all in Ashton's toilet.
No Dead Island
Yeah,
2 the spider
every
today.
spider in Newcastle is actually in that toilet. Yeah. So,
Well, maybe we'll get one in here soon when it starts warming up a bit. I've got the ad read in front of me now.
oh yeah,
So this is a partnership with a recently released realistic medieval RPG and an undergarment provider. They've sort of collaborated.
Okay.
It's exciting. So the ad read begins. As nature begins to wake up and insects are rejoining the beautiful chorus of life, unobservant gamers may end up sitting on one of these insects and getting a nasty shock when the bug fights back. But they need not worry. Introducing
Okay. All right.
we're there with you right now.
Stinged on bum deliver pants.
Okay.
Ding dong bum.
I didn't see where the pants
All right,
were coming.
I thought we were
Deliver
gonna.
pants.
I thought it was gonna be ants. I thought we were talking about ants.
No.
But I see now that it's pants, not ants.
Stinged on bum.
bum.
Not stung on bum.
No,
Stinged on.
stinged on bum.
Stinged on bum.
Deliver pants.
Deliver pants. Pants, not
Two.
pants.
Two.
Two. Yeah, because you'll need an extra pair.
Yeah, it's a
Because there's
two-pack.
so many bugs about that you could sit on.
Pack.
Yes. Stinged on bum. Deliver pants too.
Deliver pants is the funniest bit.
Yeah,
It's not
so-
deliver
Deliver
pants.
pants.
Deliver pants. So that's available now. It's exciting. It's like when the PS5 launched and Greg's had like a little thing that you could get, and it was like a little PS5 box that had donuts in it.
Are you
This is
wearing
what
some
they're doing.
Stinged on bum deliver pants right now?
Well,
too?
no, because I haven't subscribed. I'm just letting people know.
You have
This
to
is
subscribe.
well,
What?
yeah. Well, because it
To
wasn't.
what? To
It's
who?
a pants subscription service.
Well, to
Did you
Stinged
say
on
that?
Stinged on bum deliver pants too.
They deliver pants.
They deliver punts. So if you get stinged on your bum, they'll
Right.
deliver you punts too.
I see.
That's the name of the product. It's a collaboration between the undergarment brand,
that it's gone right over my
which
head.
does not wish to be named, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. They work together. So you need to subscribe to this, and then if you get stinged on your bum, they'll deliver punts to you. Yeah, you with me?
I don't like punts.
Why not?
I don't
Explain.
know.
It is weird.
I just don't like the way it's just it went over my head at first, and then I just feel like
I thought you were with me.
I was with you.
You said you were with me.
I was with you, but I was actually not with you because
were
I thought
somewhere
it was
else.
ants. So I've like really.
Why would they deliver ants?
I don't know exactly. That's because you were talking about insects.
That's all you need when you've been stinged on bum. You don't want ants
You don't want
delivered to
more.
you.
You don't want more insects.
Well, exactly. I
they'll
thought
sting you on bum
I thought
too.
it was like, oh, the ants are being annoying. You can deliver the ants elsewhere.
No, but I did say it was a partnership with an
I
undergarment.
know you did,
company.
and that's why I was also confused.
Well, this is why they're delivering punts.
Yeah.
Are you with me now?
I just don't like punts.
Do you have to send the punts back when you're done with them?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, you have to wash them.
Right.
You have to wash them.
It's like you have to rewind the VHS.
Exactly. Be kind, wash punts, I
Yeah.
believe is the slogan. We're not actually sponsored by Stinged On Bum Deliver Punts too, as much to Ashton's joy. We are, in fact, sponsored by our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/Team TripleJump. If you go there and support us, you get early access to weirdest and worst games ever. You get to ask questions on this podcast, exclusive access to episodes of Rules Boss and Main Menu as well. Thank you very much to the wonderful patrons over there. TripleJump is our website. There you can find links to everything that we do. And TripleJumpShop.com if you want some delightful merchandise, such as that hoodie and this shirt. And Peter's taking off his jumper. That shirt. There we are. TripleJumpShop.com. A couple of things out on the channel this week. Some stuff happening in it.
Yeah,
It's the weirdest games every week. Yeah, it's the weirdest games every week. You can watch it on Sunday. If you're a patron, it's already on patreon.com/Team TripleJump. We played Incredible Crisis.
What an incredible.
It was incredible.
It was
Christ.
incredible, and it was difficult in places.
Sexy too.
And sexy
Yeah,
too.
of course it was.
Of course,
Weirdest
it's the
games
weirdest
ever.
games ever.
Dirty old man.
Yeah.
We also did our anniversary stream for The Walking Dead Destinies. That'll be available on the VODs channel.
Party pop. Like a party.
Big
horn.
Money Bobby Vegas has arrived early.
Yeah.
That's available on the VODs channel by the time this podcast goes out. I think the actual anniversary of our first video is the 10th of February.
Is it?
Without looking it up, just basing it on
It's
memory.
the closest Thursday.
So,
possibly.
yeah.
Something like that.
Anniversary. When does this go out, this podcast?
Saturday, the
8th.
8th. Yes.
So actually that because it's on my stream day. I remember thinking, that's anniversary day for first video anyway. So anniversary's coming up next week. Don't forget to wish us happy birthday on Monday.
Which birthday is it? 7?
Six. But it's our sixth birthday.
Sixth birthday. How exciting. Thank you for all your support over the years, everyone. Special Worst Games Ever stream. Go check it out on the VODs channel.
Yes.
Shall we start things off, Peter Austin?
Yes, Peter Austin. We start with a question from Connor Bennett, who says, hello, those who are not afflicted by the plops, trademarked. Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa said on Tuesday that with regards to the Switch 2 launch and scalpers, that they will take all possible measures based on the experience we have accumulated to date. We are making preparations.
Yeah.
Based on the recent procedures with ordering Alarmo and signing up for the Switch 2 experience, this may be that you need a Nintendo account to place an order and a possible exclusive window for Nintendo Switch Online subscribers. Is this something you would all like companies to do for hardware launches in the future to try and avoid scalpers as much as possible? Do you think it'll work? Thanks, Connor. I've got a bit of a write-up here from IGN, which basically has a bit more of that quote. So what could these preparations involve, asks IGN halfway through their article. Making loads of Nintendo Switch 2 Switch 2 units, it seems, is the answer to the question. Last year, Nintendo stressed the importance of manufacturing enough Switch 2 consoles to meet demand as a key tactic for beating the scalpers. When the Nintendo Switch launched back in March 2017, it suffered from a constrained supply, boosting scalpers who sold the console at inflated prices. But in July 2024, Furukawa said that things will be different when it comes to launching the Switch successor. As a countermeasure against resale, we believe the most important thing is to produce a sufficient number to meet customer demand, and this idea has not changed since last year, Furukawa said at the time. In addition to this, we're considering whether there are any other measures that could be taken to the extent allowed by laws and regulations, taking into account the circumstances of each region. So he's not yet hinted that you might have to have a Nintendo account in order to purchase a console, as far as I'm aware. I thought you were about to say something.
No.
So the closest thing that we've got in terms of them specifying what their measures are simply that last year he said, we think we just didn't make enough with the Switch. And so one of our tactics is to make loads more Switch 2s, which is a good thing. But then I kind of feel like, is that going to be enough? I kind of feel like they need the statistics in front of them to see to what extent scalpers will just buy all your stock. And I don't think that statistic exists because you can't just poll people and say, are you a scalper? How many Switches would you buy if you were going to scalp? You know, if we had 10 million units available, how many would you buy? So it's probably quite tricky to just know how much is enough, because it might be that scalpers will simply buy more if more are available, or they might have a sort of a figure in their head of like, okay, well, I can't afford to buy more than 100 and then resell them.
As far as I'm aware, scalpers aren't technically doing anything illegal,
well,
so
no.
that must also make it very difficult to crack down on from certain perspectives.
Yeah.
But with Connor Bennett specifying that, you know, having a Switch account might be a possible, or a Nintendo account might be a possible solution. I don't know how I feel about that, because I think it's a bit of a slippery slope. I think, like, just as a measure against scalpers, it makes total sense. If you say, look, you need to have this account to buy it, and we're limiting it to 1 per account, or even just, 2 or 3 per account in case you've got like a family or something and everyone wants a Switch, then, that in itself would probably work very well against scalpers. But
it also only works if you're buying it directly from Nintendo.
Exactly. There's a whole other like set of issues that comes with it. So yeah, it would prevent scalping if Nintendo were selling them all just via Nintendo accounts, but that's probably not the way they would do it, because there are other online retailers, and even if they did do it that way and say you can only buy them through us, it's then just, do you then have to have an account with Sony going forward to buy a PS6, or with, I mean, probably a lot of people have a Microsoft account already, even if they're not Xbox players, so that's less of an issue. But it just feels like a weird slippery slope that it's the cost versus reward of maybe stopping scalpers, but having to do that.
I think Nintendo are really good at organizing things like this, like with the like tester experience thing. Also recently I booked tickets to go to the Nintendo Museum in Kyoto, and I had to sign up for a draw, and then was off. Then if I won tickets, I could buy them if I was lucky enough to get them. To stop resellers. And in order to get that, you had to have a Nintendo account. You couldn't even buy tickets for the museum without having a Nintendo account.
Oh, wow.
So like it's an interesting situation in terms of, okay, well that would help them control who's buying them, whether people are buying them and selling them for more money. And, you know, the people who just want the one Switch can't get one because someone's bought 250 Switches. Yeah. However, I don't think it's going to stop it. I mean, we've seen like people set up bots where you can only buy one, so they set up 200 bots to buy one PlayStation, for example. It's going to happen, and I don't actually think or believe that there is a way that you could prohibit scalpers from being able to get more than your per person allowance. I think as well, like, there's lots of things like, well, only one per address, but then suddenly you've got people who will live in a block of flats and, you know, well, how do we get around that situation? So I unfortunately don't think there is a way to completely stop the scalpers getting their hands on the Switch 2. I do think saying like, we're just going to make enough makes sense. And I think maybe that is why we are seeing this not delayed, but like, they're not rushing the Switch 2 out. Obviously, they're in a position right now where they know what it's going to look like. I would assume at this point, there's models of the Switch in a warehouse somewhere waiting for release day. But it does make sense that they are kind of holding off on it a little bit and waiting till they have the stock to supply the entire population of the world with a Switch, should they want one. I think we'll have to wait to see till April, really, when we get a proper answer regarding what they're doing. But also, if we're saying, like, you have to have a Nintendo account and therefore probably have to buy it through Nintendo, how long will that last? Will they do that for the Switch 2's entire life cycle and you can only buy them through Nintendo? Then how does that affect game retailers, and how does it also affect sales and the changing prices of the Switch? I mean, the Switch didn't actually really go down in price for like the first 5 years of its release, so it wouldn't make that much difference in terms of sales. But if you're only getting them from one location, they can charge as much as they want for it then and never have to put it on sale because you can only get it through them.
Yeah, so I can't see them just suddenly not selling them via other retailers.
No, absolutely not.
And therefore, as you say, if they're still going to make them available via Amazon or wherever, Argos, then they can't police whether or not you've got a Switch account, presumably. So yeah, that doesn't necessarily work.
Yeah.
I agree with what you guys said. I think you're not going to stop scalpers. They'll always find a way. There's only certain things you can do to slow them down. It's a lovely idea to think that they would be able to manufacture enough Switch 2s to satisfy all the demand, but really what that means is the scalpers just have more to steal. And that's rubbish. And using the account system, that's all well and good, but as you guys said, you know, that would mean that you'd only be able to get it from them, and that hasn't stopped people trying to sell their hands-on experience with the Switch 2 tickets online, even though those are non-transferable, so don't buy one. I'm not really sure what the solution is. I would like to see other hardware manufacturers step up and do better. The 30th anniversary PlayStation stuff was a complete mess, a total bloody mess. And all that stuff went straight on eBay. Very few people who actually wanted them legitimately got the big stuff. And I don't know if it's still the case, but certainly for a little while there, scalpers basically had a monopoly on all of the disk drives for the PS5 Pro. So people just couldn't get them from anywhere, not even the 30th anniversary ones. Like, if you wanted a disk drive for your PS5 Pro, you literally couldn't get one unless you went through a scalper, and it was just dreadful. They did actually revise this though, which really irritated me because it was only a matter of days or maybe a matter of hours later, but for the Japanese launch of these, they made sure that it required that people had a PlayStation Network account and at least 30 hours worth of play.
Oh, that's clever.
To be eligible, which again Won't stop all scalpers. They will always find a way around it. But
it's also fine for like a limited release, like that kind of thing.
Exactly. Not a full console release, but certainly it's proof that they can do certain things if they want to. I'm annoyed they didn't do it for any other territories because it was such a mess. But yeah, more should be done to stop scalpers. I don't really know what the solution is unless we get rid of online ordering and people just have to queue up outside.
A crime.
Yeah.
You make it illegal. Yeah, I don't know how that would be enforceable, but yeah, just
some kind of like business law where it's like you've usurped a business by trying to steal all of their stock.
It's in the terms of service that you can only have one per customer or whatever.
Or you can't resell it for more money than you bought it for or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Like,
it would be good if all the major...
again, hard to police though.
And it's a slippery slope too.
Yeah. It would be good if all the major like auction websites like eBay and I don't know where else people sell their scalp.
Facebook Marketplace.
Yes, exactly.
CEX.
Yeah, it would be good if all those retailers had some kind of policy where they say, all right, if you're going to try and sell a PS5 or a Switch 2 or whatever on our website, you can only sell it at original cost price or like with a markup of like 10% or something. It's like, just make it difficult enough to make enough profit from scalping. But then, for one thing, those outlets they're a third party in this, and they're going to say, well, it's not our problem if that's happening to your product. We want the commission on the sale, and we're going to let it happen. And also, if you did do that, probably all the scalpers would just move to whatever the next biggest website is that doesn't have that policy in place, and they would just benefit the fourth most popular auction site. So yeah, that's difficult. I think I agree with you, Ben, that having more available probably isn't going to stop scalpers. They will just buy up more stuff. But I suppose it might just give people more of a chance to nab one in the first place. If there's more availability, it probably just increases your odds a little bit before they completely sell out at your local game shop or whatever. Not that anyone really uses their local game shop anymore. And increased availability as well means that in theory, because there's less scarcity, then the product is worth less to a scalper to be able to flog. Like if you're trying to say, oh, I'm selling this at like 150% of the cost price. Well, if there's some likelihood that a buyer might still be able to find one somewhere officially, then, why would I pay an inflated price when I can hopefully scratch around and find one of the last few ones at such and such a store? So
yeah,
it probably works in principle, but maybe not in practice. I don't know.
I know why they do it, but I also really dislike the releasing in random mystery waves that a lot of online retailers do, where you have to have a tracking website open. Just as like, oh, they've come back in stock here. It's like, why do they not all already know what their allowances are?
Yeah.
And if there are enough to meet demand, supposedly, then just open the floodgates and let as many people order them as need to order them. And then that way, then, you're not there tearing your hair out because you were there, you had to, commute to work and you missed it going in stock on Argos for the 30 seconds it was available, and then you got to wait for another time slot when no one, and then you got all these accounts on Twitter.
It's like Ticketmaster, like with the whole thing of like, oh, this, you've got to be in the queue. You're in like the queue for the waiting room, and then by the time the waiting room opens up, the whole website crashes because everyone's joining the website, and then suddenly you're not in the queue anymore, and then you're in the queue in the waiting room, and you're like, there's a billion people in front of you, and you're like, cool.
It's terrible. It's really rubbish, and I'm just fed up of just. It happens all the time. You get all these accounts on Twitter like, oh, there's apparently I'm trying to think of one. Granger Games, that doesn't exist anymore, are going to get some Game 365 or whatever the flip is called. Are going to get some more stock in at like 3 p.m. today. Apparently, it's all just absolute nonsense.
I remember Fraser would just send
clearer?
it.
Yeah.
Remember the PlayStation 5?
There might be some here available,
like,
possibly.
Someone says there's some here.
It's just madness. Like there's simply has to be a better way. And if this is their method of stopping scalpers, let me tell you, it doesn't bloody work because their bots are there the millisecond those things are back in stock before any human can react. So just let us have at it and let the fallout be, okay, well, we can see who's ordered 500 PS5s to this location. Should we maybe send the police there or something? I don't know. It's just crap. It's crap. It's so awful for people who actually want these things.
If these manufacturers do start introducing a policy where you have to have an account to buy it, it won't affect any of us because, we have accounts for these companies. But, I do just wonder, it's going to make it more difficult for grandma to buy little Johnny.
It's just going to make it harder for anyone who actually just want. Like, imagine if you don't have a Switch and you're waiting for the Switch 2 because that's been announced, and you don't have a Nintendo account because why would you?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, so I literally can't buy one of these things. That sucks. I'm not allowed to buy one because I don't have a Nintendo account that hasn't played for a certain amount of hours or whatever. It's a very difficult problem to solve.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, my jaw just clicked right into the mic. I don't know if you heard that. I was trying to blow a bit of hair out of my face, and it just clicked right into the microphone, and I was like, "Whoops, sorry about that."
Well, while you reset your jaw, perhaps we should move on to a new section.
I was watching a podcast the other day called the TripleJump podcast, and they had a segment in it called "What We Playin." So I thought we could just steal that and do that.
Is that allowed?
Are we okay to do? Are we scalping that?
I think we're scalping it.
Okay,
cool.
Big scalpers.
Nice. It's what we're playing time.
Okay, big scalpers. Yeah, big scalpers. It's what we play in time. Time to talk about the games, what we've been playing. Peter Austin, what have you been playing, please?
Well, over the past fortnight, I've been playing Fortnite. No, I've not. Before I went to Germany, I played a bit more Star Wars Outlaws. Still having a great time in that game. It's really good. It's a lot of fun. And I've played a little bit of it since I came back from Germany over the past couple of days. But mostly, I've been playing a game which, again, on the last time I was on the podcast, I had played it but wasn't able to talk about it. Orcs Must Die Death Trap. And the whole time this game was about to come out, we were sort of debating. I was saying, like, oh, should we reach out for a code? I don't know how I feel about this game because it's designed around multiplayer, and they have already done that once before. They did Orcs Must Die Unchained, which was sort of semi-MOBA-ish, or so that's what it looked like anyway, and it just wasn't for me at all. There was actually co-op in Orcs Must Die 3, I think, as well.
Yeah.
I think just for 2 players, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've played in co-op.
Yeah, but this is the first time I've really sat down and actually enjoyed some multiplayer Orcs Must Die, or an Orcs Must Die multiplayer game, but I've been playing it in solo.
Right.
I've not been playing any multiplayer. They did say before the game came out that you can play in solo. We've designed it so that you can play it on your own. And I thought, how's that going to work though? Because the maps on this game are massive with loads of corridors. There's a lot of outdoor spaces, which means you don't have ceilings and walls to put your traps on. And I thought, that's not going to be possible to defend this area with one person. The way they do it, basically, is they give you loads of money to buy loads of traps as a single person and like 22 barricade items, which, you can like place down on the ground and create a little maze to make it to block off corridors and stuff. And it works, but it does feel a little bit like I'm kind of not really playing this game as intended. I kind of feel like they've made an allowance for solo players and said, oh, hey, we've designed this like massive, massive area. Here are some items that just block off most of the map. It's like erect some walls and turn this into a much smaller map by yourself. That's kind of what it feels like. So there's always there's like a voice in the back of my mind saying like, I feel like I'm cheating, but I'm not because this is exactly how it's been designed for solo players. But I'm still actually quite enjoying playing solo. So I think as long as you can kind of come to terms with the fact that, there are these mechanics in place for you to play on your own and you have to just go with them, then once you get beyond that, it is a lot of fun. And I was having that much fun that I was thinking, am I enjoying this game specifically, or is it just that I'm playing more Orcs Must Die, which is a franchise I like and I've not played it for a while? So I did a little experiment and I went back and I also installed Orcs Must Die 3 and played a bit of that to see if it was just equally fun or if the new game does actually improve on things. And actually, the new game is very good and it has added a lot. And, there are special like ultimate attacks. There's loads more traps. There's some interesting new enemies that come at you. The music's really good as well. There's all these new characters you can play as. So, I think for some reason, I was kind of resistant to admitting that I'm having a good time in this game. I think because in the lead up to it, I was like, that's not how Orcs Must Die should be. They should have just made another numbered sequel where it's just you and maybe a co-op player in a claustrophobic corridor with monsters. And because they've not done that, I sort of don't want to like this game. And then I've been playing it and I've been having a really good time. So that's mostly what I've been playing this week.
I played some Orcs Must Die. What's it called?
Death Trap.
Death Trap as well.
Oh, yeah.
On Game Pass. I wasn't so keen personally. I mean, I've never really played any of the other ones.
It's probably not a great entry point.
It's very colorful, which is fine, but I wasn't sure about like the hub area. I jumped into one game in co-op and I finished the game, finished that run or whatever, and then I walked away from it like, okay, I get it. I understand what it's about, but it's not really. Maybe it's just not for me.
Yeah.
But I liked being able to place still the traps on the walls and the variety of traps and things like that. But I found it a bit confusing to navigate. Sometimes, like the hub area, I wasn't really sure. Like, there's no real menu. You just have to go to each part of the map to do stuff.
That is something they've done really badly. Actually, is that there is a tutorial area where you can go and talk to Max, I think he's called, the protagonist through the series, and you can run like 6 or 7 tutorial videos that say like, here's how traps work, here's how the threads work, which are the things that are like temporary boosts or like buffs you can get and things like that in each mission. And it's just missing a bunch of stuff that should be tutorialized and isn't. And I don't know why. There's like stuff that, as far as I'm aware, is new to the game. Maybe it was in Orcs Must Die Unchained, and that's, I've missed it from not playing that game. But it's either new stuff or stuff that was only introduced in the last game, and they've not inserted tutorials for how to do it. And I think that's baffling. I don't know why you would do that. There's no gradual introduction of enemy types, or it doesn't tell you how they work, which all the previous games have done.
The flying ones took us by surprise.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
weren't expecting things to be flying over all our barricades.
They fly now.
In the previous games, you start with like 3 basic traps and just standard green orcs are running at you, and you move level through level, and it introduces like one new thing at a time, one new trap at a time, and one new enemy type. And as they enter the map for the first time, the guy will like monologue to himself saying, oh, flyers, they'll go right over the top of barricades and we need to, they're weak to lightning or whatever. And very little of that is included in this game for some reason. It just kind of assumes a lot of knowledge, and for some reason it assumes knowledge for stuff that I think is new to the game. So, I think that they've really dropped the ball on making it clear as to how it works.
Who did you play as? What character?
I played the one with the crossbow, who is kind of feels like a bit of an all-rounder. I can't think what they're called. They have sort of elf ears.
Okay.
I
played like Big Bear.
Yeah, Big Bear.
Big Bear with a hammer.
I've not tried any of the
There's a
other
big
characters.
bear?
Yeah, you can be a big bear.
There's
a lot
also
of
a Catwoman.
There
as
are
well.
characters
Sick.
with melee attacks this time, which is kind of unusual. I think there have been melee attacks in the past, but yeah, all the characters have different specialisms. But I've just been playing as like character 1 of 6, kind of like the basic. Here's the all-rounder with the crossbow, which is the weapon from previous games. So,
right.
But I've looked on the Reddit a little bit, and people have been saying, you should try the other characters. They are worth playing.
Good. Well, I hope you continue to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I've still got it installed. I want to go back to it, but I think it was a lot to take in for a first level.
I wanna give
It's
it a
a
go.
terrible entry point, I would say. If you're not familiar with the series, it's probably not a good.
I
good way
like
to
killing
start.
orcs though, so maybe I need to play the old
orcs
ones.
Yeah.
must
They
die.
have to die.
It's integral.
Me and MB played Orcs Must Die 3 and really enjoyed ourselves and played through the whole thing. So that one I would definitely recommend picking up. That one's, again, quite simple to get into.
Yeah, I've got
because it
like
doesn't-
40, 50 hours in all 3 of the first numbered games.
And every time
Nice.
something else unlocks or like it gets progressively more difficult, you get like a little story mission to be like, this is how this character kind of works and how this kind of situation unfolds, and these orcs are, and that's quite helpful.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, whereas that's missing in the latest game,
Yeah.
which is a problem.
Okay.
I played a few things this week. I played more Sims, been building more houses.
Which one?
Sims 4.
Okay.
I've not downloaded Sims 1 or 2 yet. I haven't bought them either. I kind of I'm putting it off for a bit because...
Until it works.
Yeah, and also just because I'm like, I don't really play The Sims. I just build things in The Sims. And I'm like, if I'm just going to build stuff, I know that Sims 1 isn't the most fun for that.
Yeah, true.
And I know that Sims 2 is fun, but I'm probably going to find it annoying. So right now, when I'm just in the mood to build things, I'm kind of like not jumping back into 1 and 2 just yet.
Enough.
And also it doesn't work that well, so I'm waiting for that as well.
Amy's had no issues, fortunately, touch wood. She's played both of them, Sims 1 and 2.
Oh, nice.
It's been fine for her, but I have heard, well, we talked about it in the news, didn't we, that there's issues.
Yeah, I've also been playing some Power Wash Sim this week. I've been very head empty, a bit stressed at the moment, so played some more Power Wash Sims. I've been watching Bones and playing Power Wash Sim.
Nice.
I cleaned a satellite dish and I cleaned a water treatment facility and I
That
cleaned...
should clean itself.
Yeah, I know.
It's just water
just in
there.
the desert. But
Have you cleaned Wallace and Gromit's house
no,
yet?
well, I haven't paid for it. It's like £7.
I'm not paying for it.
Well, yeah, I'm not. I don't want to.
No. Why would you?
Got enough to clean.
Yeah, so I'm like just going through all of the free kind of DLC that's available on Xbox Game Pass because I haven't paid for the game and I feel the same about this with Disney Dreamlight Valley. I haven't bought the game because it's on Game Pass. So I don't want to buy the additional content because what if they take the game off Game Pass, then all I've got is the DLC.
It's true.
So I'm kind of like I'm not willing to buy it on Game Pass. If I want to buy the whole game, I'll buy the whole game. But right now I'm like, well, I haven't bought the game, and if they take it off Game Pass, I'm just going to have just the Wallace and Gromit DLC and not
And
the
you won't be able to
actual.
play it.
Wallace without
Game.
a home. Just sat
Yeah,
there.
exactly. But the thing I've played most of this week, and I'm still really enjoying, is Dragon Age the Veilguard. I Kiss Tash. They are my partner, and I've met their mum.
That's a big step.
Yep. I don't know if their mum liked me very much. But hey, we move. I'm really enjoying this game. There's a few things that I kind of find a little bit annoying. For example, I think the interact button should be triangle.
Yeah, fed up of jumping
I don't
every
know
time
why
you try
it's
to open
X.
a chest.
I yeet myself off sides and into water all of the time.
So many games do that, like make jump or dodge. Because I think maybe Elden Ring was the same thing. Like, no, I don't think it is actually. I was just confusing it because they added jump in Elden Ring. And it used to be interact, and they changed it around. So I'd walk up to things and then just jump on the spot.
Yeah.
But so many games do that.
Well, I've obviously played Ghost of Tsushima, and I was playing Infinity Nikki. And in Infinity Nikki, it's R2 to interact, which I kept having to reprogram my brain. And then in Ghost of Tsushima, it was triangle to interact. And I get that, like, in combat, the triangle button is used. However, when you're not in combat, you barely ever touch the triangle button. So I don't understand why. And if I want to interact with the chest or pick something up off the floor or read something, I have to press the jump button because 8 out of 10 times she just jumps. And I'm like, no, we're opening the box, please.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is annoying, and I don't know why they did that. It kind of annoys me when I have to like go all the way to location to watch a cutscene, and then I have to go back to the lighthouse to have a conversation, to then go back to the location to actually do the mission. That does annoy me, and I don't know why they don't just be like, we've had this conversation now, and now we're going to do the missions now in your thing. You haven't got to go back and ask Nev a question for Nev to be like, oh yeah, by the way, that thing we just did that I lugged you all the way over to Docktown to do. Well, we can go back to Docktown now and go and do it if you want. And I'm like, why didn't you do? Why am I here having to come back to do this? But I have been really enjoying it. I've played I'd say about 40 hours now, and I feel like I'm pretty deep into it. I keep getting the like Mass Effect thing of everyone needs to be on their game. Clear your heads. What do I need to do for you all to make sure that you're gonna like be good in the mission? And I'm fine with that because I quite like doing everyone's quests. I think I finished Harding's storyline now. She's got like a new power. I don't know. I've not seen it in use yet because I'm like, well, we're finished. So I'm not bringing you with me at the moment.
I don't want you in my party.
I've got to get everyone else's friendship level up because they're not, she's at like level 8 and then like loves me, and everyone else is at level 6. And I'm like, what the hell? And Tosh, who is literally in love with me, their level's only 5. And I'm like, excuse me,
To be fair, they're one of the last characters to come aboard.
They are, it's true.
You've
But it's
had
like,
less time.
yeah, it's difficult because
The telltale sign to know that you've really got them to truly love you is when the trophy goes off. that's when you know, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I've done everything I can. Because
Yeah.
I think every single one, you finish their mission and then they have like a final wrap-up cutscene or conversation or something, and then you get the trophy for like, oh, you've maxed out this character or whatever. So
yeah, but I am enjoying it. I think it looks great. I like that I'm still going to new locations. I did the flipping Circle of Slaughter quest.
it wasn't hard, was it?
It's not hard. I just find that so boring. And I really need games to stop being like, this is the combat arena. I don't care. I don't want to do it. Combat is always the least favorite part of a game for me. If I never had to fight anything, I would be fine with that.
I hate the combat arenas in most games, but I found that one to be so simple and so quick that actually it was almost not worth including in the game at all.
Yes, I
and
feel
B,
the same.
the way they included it was actually a bit of a blessing because I hate those normally,
Yeah.
and I was able to just smash it out one mission after the other straight away.
The one thing I don't like about the combat is the fact that so I'm playing as a mage, which means like I have a bunch of I have a sword and an orb is like one of my weapons, and the other weapon is a staff, and they both do similar things, but they have obviously different elemental things that you can attach to them and different things that you kind of want to do with them. One's more close range, one's a long range weapon. However, once you're in combat, you can't change anything, but you can't see what someone's elemental weaknesses are until you're in combat. So like I would hold the R1 button where it kind of hones in an enemy, and they'd be like, well, they're vulnerable to lightning, but they're resistant to necrotic, but I've got necrotic attached, and because I am in combat, I now can't change that back to my other thing. I can't change my abilities. I can't change anything once I'm in combat, which is kind of annoying if you're kind of walking into an area and like you don't know what the enemy types, because sometimes the enemy types are like the same across different locations, but in different locations have different vulnerabilities. There's like the Darkspawn are kind of the zombie-like characters, and they have different weaknesses depending on what area you are in. So unless you are remembering when you're entering an area, oh right, I need to have necrotic thing in. Once you're in combat, you can't change it, which is an issue I do have with the combat. It does kind of annoy me, but it's not that deep because I'm playing on like easy, so I'm killing them anyway. It's just kind of annoying.
Hammer.
Yeah, it's just annoying because I'm like, I know I could have killed you quicker, and that's what I'm most annoyed about because I want to get the combat done with.
So you can get back to the arena.
I've killed like loads of dragons as well.
Congratulations.
So many dragons.
The age of dragons is ending.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I didn't see dragons for ages, and I've killed like 5 dragons.
It's just going to be called Age.
Yeah. This is the end of the dragon age. Nope. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying that game. I think it's great. And someone on stream told me that they picked it up because I liked it so much.
Hey, that's good.
I fully recommend giving it a go because it is a lot of fun.
Excellent. Is that your play?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
I played a few things. I have finally given the new Zombies map a go. It's called The Tomb. I think it's a bit boring, quite frankly. It starts in an outside excavation area. Pretty interesting. I'm not aware of the story of this, but like I'm talking purely from a map design standpoint. The first few rooms you enter on either direction that you go are just dusty beige rooms with nothing specifically interesting inside them, like no interesting visual identifiers, anything like that. No, well, there'll definitely be puzzles somewhere in that game, but like, I don't know how to do any of the Easter eggs in it yet. Eventually, you fight your way to like an undercroft in like a cave where you can fall off the edge, but it does thankfully just put you straight back up with a little bit of health lost, rather than just going, oh no, you went down because you fell. Lol.
The end.
And yeah, that's just that probably has some significance to an Easter egg, but that's the only other interesting bit of the map that's connected there. Once you do make your way down there, you can interact with some sort of object, and then it opens a portal to like this space realm. You go in there, and it's like celestial bodies are above you. It's sort of like purple, and there's lots of strange mushrooms in there and things. That's sort of interesting, I suppose, and that's where the Pack-a-Punch machine is. But it's just
is that like the one that was in the church in the other level? Because there was a thing where you'd go, you opened a portal in the church in like the first level you unlocked, and you would go into a little tiny area where there was the Pack-a-Punch machine and like...
Yeah, so it's sort of... Visually, it looks kind of like that in terms of the colors, but the church was still a church inside, whereas this is like... It's like you're on another planet, basically. Okay. But even that area is just lots of places to run around, and they're just like geological formations rather than any kind of structures or anything. And I just like comparing it to the castle one, which is one of my favorites, and even the other two as well. Like each place you open up is like interesting and new and different. And this, I just found it really dull. I'm not really enjoying it all that much. I'll be keen to give it a go on directed mode and when that releases, so that I can play through the story of it and work out what's going on. But like having played it a few times now, I just wasn't that arsed by it. It was just kind of uninteresting. They've changed the zombies so they look like, you know, they're wearing vaguely mummy type outfits, you know, and stuff. But other than that, not really arsed by it, to be honest. I thought it was a bit underwhelming. But I did then try and do the directed mode for the castle one, and it bugged. And the thing I needed it to do did not do what it was supposed to do, so I had to abandon that, and I was like 45 minutes into this round of zombies, and I was like, that's a complete waste of my time. I had to use the in-game chat feature to like type a message saying, it's bugged, shall we all go down? And then everyone said, yeah, and then we just stood there and let a zombie hit us to death, so we at least got, you know, the XP for playing. That was really irritating. Thankfully, it was not the only thing I played, though, because then I jumped into Black Ops 3, which I've had downloaded for a while, because for some reason, all the zombies maps are available in that as part of... It was on PS Plus ages ago. And so they actually remade Nacht der Untoten, the first zombies map from World at War, in that engine, and I played that. And my God... Playing Black Ops 3 compared to Black Ops 6 is like night and day. The quality of life losses from going backwards was really noticeable. You shoot guns and your arms don't move. Like there's no recoil or anything from any of the guns. You're playing as the strongest being alive, apparently.
His wrists are made of steel.
Yeah. It was cool to go back there, but it was, it's just not as good as current day zombies. And then I played some... It's been a lot of co-op games, really. I played some Borderlands 2. Started a 3-player co-op campaign in that. I'm playing as Axton, the most boring character with the turret. That's been pretty fun. I do love that game. Don't know when I'm going to be going back to that. I played through We Were Here, which I have played before.
I like We Were Here.
But I was playing it for the first time in a long time, and... For the most part, I had a good time, but like I don't remember some of the solutions being so esoteric. Like we really struggled with one of them, you know, the maze when you're trying to make your way through it and pull the right colored switches.
Yes, yeah.
That was really annoying.
Yeah.
Also, it was slightly buggy in that I was playing on Xbox. The in-game walkie-talkie doesn't work for some reason, just didn't work. So we had to use voice chat instead, which I feel like kind of took some of the fun out of it.
Yeah.
But I'd be keen to play another one because I haven't played any of the other ones, but they're a bit expensive. So if
I think I have a bunch of them on Steam.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if I think I've played We Were Here and We Were Here 2. But then there's like We Were Here Together. Yeah. And then there's another one which is the newest one.
We Were Here Forever or
something.
Yeah,
like
there's a few.
But whenever I played them, I was sat in the same room with the person.
Oh, so you can see their screen?
No, well, we made a conscious effort to like, don't look at my screen.
It's basically an escape room, isn't it?
But it is basically an escape room, but like we weren't using any in-game chat. We were just sat like this far away from each other being like, I'm confused. And then just like telling each other.
It got a bit irritating at times doing it over voice chat because, I don't remember it being that tricky, but there were some bits where I was like, I just don't know what the game is trying to tell me. But it is the first game, so I only assume maybe it gets a little more.
I think We Were Here 2, I definitely think is better than We Were Here and has the puzzles are a bit more fun, I think.
Okay.
If I remember, it's been ages since I've played it.
Right.
But we have to go back and play those now.
Last night, I started Far Cry New Dawn, the sequel/smaller spin-off to Far Cry 5, because I played that in co-op last year, and it went on Game Pass this week, so downloaded it, started playing that in co-op. That's like, it's Far Cry, with all the good and bad that comes with that, but in terms of like playing a game in co-op, it feels like a nice warm blanket. Like I know exactly how this game is going to play. It's not going to change my life at all. It's not pushing the medium forwards, but it's fun enough. And you know what? It was daft. I gave myself a mullet. I unlocked the perk that lets you do, the wingsuit thing and just kept flying into trees for a laugh, dying, just dumb. It's a silly game, and I only played a couple of hours of it, but I'll probably be playing more of that. The main thing that I played, though, on my own, because it went on Game Pass after the developer direct, is Ninja Gaiden 2 Black.
Yep.
Which is the remake of 2.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying that.
Oh.
I think it's fast, it's really bloody and brutal, and it makes you feel like you're really good at games when it's going well. I have 2 massive drawbacks, though. The camera is horrible. It's so nasty, and I appreciate that it's from a time where this is what cameras were like in games.
Yeah.
But they've not modernized it, and I am having a horrible time just seeing where enemies are most of the time. There's because when you're making your way around the environment, the camera will cut or move with you. Like if you try and move the right stick, like you're fighting against the game telling you like, no, the camera must go here. But when you're in combat, there's no lock on or anything. So I'm having to like constantly tap the right bumper to like snap the view to where Ryu, what's his name? His name's Hayabusa, his last name. I can't remember his first name.
I don't know.
He's a dragon warrior. I don't know. It snaps to his
The guy.
vision. You know the guy, the Ninja Gaiden, him.
Yeah,
Gaiden. Ninja
Yeah.
Guy.
That's his name.
It snaps to, and so I'm getting attacked by stuff that I can't see, which doesn't feel like my fault. So I'm thankfully, like I'm playing on normal. I've not died yet, but I've gotten pretty close a few times. And every time it's like, this isn't my fault though. Like I'm all for not pressing the right buttons or not dodging at the right time. Yeah, okay, fair enough. That's my fault. And you can always argue like, I'm pretty sure I pressed dodge there. But when I'm literally incapable of seeing where enemies are because the camera is fighting me, it's really frustrating. And the other thing which goes part and parcel with that is the platforming, which is also horrible because the camera doesn't work. So sometimes I can't see where I'm jumping. Sometimes I'll go to do a wall run and he'll just like run directly up the wall next to me. Sometimes I'll try and jump over a gap and like where I'm meant to go is off to the side and I haven't seen it, and he just won't do what I want him to do, and I can't tell if I can do stuff because it was a PS2 and an Xbox game, and that's just how it was then. And I feel like while I am on the whole having a good time, it's fighting me.
Yeah.
Like it's like it wants me not to have a good time. And that's sad because I really want to enjoy it. I've just finished chapter 4 and I've beaten a few bosses and it's ridiculously over the top. And it does make me want to play the new one, if only that a lot of this stuff will be modernized.
Yeah.
But I thought, when you're remaking this stuff, maybe, that's the kind of stuff you should probably tweak.
But do they still play like that? Is that like how they play?
I hope not. The reviews have been pretty good, but then all I had to search was Ninja Gaiden 2 Black camera, and there's loads of Reddit threads like, how on earth are you guys playing this game? I'm like, I'm playing it for the first time and I'm having a horrible time because I just can't do it. And there are mods on PC to fix the camera. So it's annoying, but also really good. And I'm going to play more because I've never really played these games before. And hopefully I don't give up on it because I can't see where I'm going. And that's what I play.
Well, it's time now for question 2. Comes from Retro Robin. Hi, BAP. I know this has been discussed to a certain extent in the past, but more and more games seem to be releasing with a pay extra to play early digital version. And I can't help but feel like this another step towards monetizing every single thing. Instead of it being something exciting you get to experience early, if it was like a paywall in front of the actual genuine release date. If you don't cough up, you'll have it later than others. Personally, I've never gone for it. I'm more of a patient gamer. I will wait 6 to 12 plus months for most patches and a price drop, unless it's something that's near and dear to me, Final Fantasy VII and Rebirth, for example. I'm just beginning to envision a world where this paywall becomes a norm for most game releases, and I'm wondering your thoughts on this. Why can't I just buy a game on day one like I used to, Dagnabbit? Shakes fist. Thanks. Love you, Robin.
Thanks Robin.
Yeah, it kind of just feels like publishers are able to hold you to ransom if it's something that you really, really like. Because I have definitely paid for this kind of thing on maybe like 2 occasions. I couldn't even necessarily tell. I think, did the Beyond Good and Evil Anniversary have an early release date? It may have done, maybe not, ? I think I've done it for, I think the Battlefront 2 like elite edition of the game gave you like 48 hours early access or something like that. So I've definitely, on a couple of occasions, I know I've gone in for this. And it's a shame because usually, I think the mentality that I have when coughing up for that is simply that I do want to play this as soon as possible. I will pay, therefore, but only because if I don't do that, firstly, there might be spoilers online that I might see, especially because the algorithm knows that X game is something I'm really interested in. So, I'm constantly getting tweets about Star Wars shows and games and things on my feed because the algorithm knows I'm a fan. So therefore, as soon as a Star Wars game comes out, if people are tweeting about the story and posting images from it or whatever, I am probably going to see them. So that's something I want to avoid. So I pay partly for that reason. And I do pay because I want to play it as soon as possible. But as Robin says in the question, that doesn't feel like an exciting thing to me. It's not like, oh yeah, I get to, if I pay a bit of money, I get to play early. How cool. It's like, it's a begrudging thing where I'm saying like, I'm annoyed that I have to do this, but like, it is important enough to me that I play this game as soon as possible. Therefore, I will pay and I will be cross about it. Which is a shame because, as we say time and again on this podcast, you should vote with your wallet. And if I'm that annoyed about the fact that this practice is happening, I should intentionally not pay for something like that. But, sometimes it's easier said than done when you're concerned about spoilers and things like that. So I can see it becoming not the norm in the sense that it will be true of every game, in a few years' time, every single game will be doing this. I don't think that's the case. But I do think, we already see a fair amount of it. And I think if it's going to go in one direction or the other, we're only going to see more and more of it over time. Unless, of course, everyone takes a big stand and says, let's all agree not to do it. But sadly, there are swathes of gamers who aren't interested in the conversations that happen about these things. They just want to play their game as soon as possible. Sometimes I'm one of those, clearly. And they will probably always go in for this kind of thing for games that they really like. And therefore, it's probably quite difficult to form that kind of united front where we say, let's all do it. Let's all do this.
I think that it doesn't really bother me because I have never paid extra to play a game early, mainly because I'm like, well, realistically with life, probably only going to play an extra 2 evenings more than I probably would have. And also like it really only is, if it's a game where like I really care about the story, like if the next Horizon game launched early, I don't know if I would bother paying extra just for like a week's early access, purely because I'm kind of like, well, I don't think I would be able to get to the point in the story where like I could get the big spoiler, for example, by the time the actual game launches. So in my head, I'm kind of like, well, if someone is going to get there, they're going to get there before me anyway. So it really is a matter of like an extra few days maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't necessarily, it doesn't bother me so much because I also think it is just a week. I think the issue comes when it's like, well, if you pay early, the game will launch an entire month earlier for you than everyone else. And that is where I think the issue starts to arise. I don't think it's an issue to be like, well, if you want to pay an extra 20 quid to get all this DLC stuff and play the game a week early, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Sue me, but like
especially if it's bundled with other stuff as well.
Yeah, exactly. But also I just think that like even if it's not, if you want to pay for it, you're going to pay for it. So it kind of doesn't affect me that much. It's when it's like, okay, well, it's becoming a significant advancement to be able to play, especially with like online games. Like if you're releasing like the next Call of Duty, for example, and you say, well, if you pay an extra 20 quid, you can play this game an entire month before everyone else. The skill ceiling suddenly triples in size, because you get people who are really dedicated who'll play for that entire month. But by the time you are coming in, you're playing against people who have got so much more like time in the game and are so much better than you at it, which is kind of rubbish. But for most games where I would be interested in paying in them, I don't really mind if so-and-so down the road gets it a week early. I'll have a bit of FOMO and a bit of jealousy, but I'm kind of like, well, I'm getting it on Friday, so it doesn't make that much difference.
They can do all the bug reporting for the first 48 hours.
They can have the broken game. They can get the day one patch that maybe breaks things. They can deal with that. I will deal with it when it's nice and fixed-ish after a week. So I don't know if this is a sign that, things are going to be paid for. I don't really know what else they could charge for in terms of early access. Like I say, the biggest issue for me comes with how they expand the time frame between early access and playing it on release. That's when I start to question whether, well, if you can release it for some people an entire month earlier, then you're just telling me that you're making me wait a month because you want me to pay 20 quid, in which case I still will not give you the money, because that is scummy behavior.
Yeah, it's like when DLC is actually on the disc and you're just putting a code in to make it's like, well, this was available at launch, then you've just decided to charge extra for it. It's the same, like, well, the game is playable. You're just saying pay more now, or you can play it in a month or play it in 2 weeks. Yeah. That's where it feels a bit.
That's where you start to see that the money is more important than the gamers, I think.
I've also never done this personally. Sometimes when we get review code, it gives access to the most premium version. I think that maybe there have been a couple of Ubisoft games like that they do like 1 week early access. And
our Outlaws code had the DLC bundled with it.
WWE games I think do that too. So when I've had my early access to review it for Push Square or to talk about it here, that's technically the same early access period that people have paid extra for. So really, the coverage we end up releasing is kind of redundant, because anyone who pays the extra can just start streaming it straight away. Regardless, though, I'm not a fan of it in principle, because it is just taking money from your most fervent customers, taking more money. But I have no real problem with it in principle. I don't think it really harms anyone. And if someone who's a huge fan does want to cough up to pay it early, albeit like an artificially engineered early release date that's just invented by the publisher to make them pay more, then, have at it. I suppose my only concern is like how far this could go. Like how far will it be a month, as you said? At that point, it's like no one's going to be paying for that. There's going to be huge outrage over that, surely. I have noticed, though, recently a trend that a lot of Game Pass games are doing this kind of thing. Avowed is doing it. And I think this is probably the most, again, I'm not a huge fan, but at the very least, I think it's interesting. I think the way they're doing it is, quote unquote, more fair than other places, because these games, like Avowed specifically, are going to be part of your Game Pass subscription anyway, day one. Upgrading to the premium version it's literally just, there's an upgrade path for Game Pass subscribers. So you're just paying, like if you're really looking forward to the next Obsidian RPG, Avowed, you quote unquote only have to pay £20 to get the premium version, and that gets you 5-day early access.
Plus the potential £10 on Game Pass.
Sorry. Exactly. You are technically
you're not paying 80 quid.
Exactly. So there is at least an upgrade path for people on Game Pass, which I think is an interesting way to do it, probably the fairest way to do it. And they do get the other stuff as well, like you guys said, for having the special shiny version. I wouldn't do it personally. I don't think there's many scenarios where I would cough up for that, especially considering that some of my most highly anticipated games of the past few years, Borderlands 3 was one of them. I think Elden Ring was another. Came out on weekends where I was going away, and I couldn't play them until the following week anyway.
You have to factor that in.
I think Horizon Forbidden West came out when I was going away and I was like,
and then it sucks at the time, but then you look back and it's like 48 hours in the grand scheme of things. What does that really get me? Unless it's an online game, as you guys said, and you do just get good at it before anyone else.
Depends what they're charging and what else comes with it. If it's like you're paying, you get a season pass and you get all this, again, whether it matters to you or not, cosmetic items or whatever, and you get early access by 3 days, it's then, am I paying 20 quid just for 48 hours early access, or am I paying 20 quid for that plus other things. But
The goal of it really is that these games are ready to go.
Yeah.
Everyone should and could be able to play it now. But they have decided that it's not like, okay, listen, guys, we think if you give us £20, we can get you a copy a week early. We'll have to check with the development team, but we think we can make it work. That's not what they've done. It's like a week before it's meant to come out should be the release date, but we've decided
to delay it for a week
we
for everyone
can't.
else.
We want to get as much money from you
The
as possible.
special boys, girls, and others who are giving us their little extra money.
Yeah.
But if you want to pay for that, hey,
Daddy's favourite.
all the
gets
all the
early
power.
access.
I don't like that. All the power to you. Do it. Spend your money how you want. I personally don't foresee a situation where I would do that. Hopefully, they won't push beyond that boundary because then you really are taking the biscuit. Quite frankly,
You are. Well,
bloody hell.
do you smell that?
You.
Something a bit stinky peculiar, you
God.
could say.
Is it possibly weird news?
It's weird news time. Time for some weird video game news. I've forgotten what happens next. If you want to submit some weird video game news to us, that's it. You can do so under the relevant social media post that goes out on a
Wednesday.
Thursday morning for
Yeah,
some
this
reason.
week.
And so it wasn't ready and we didn't get any news in time because people only had 45 minutes.
There were
to
no
send us
replies
news.
when we were gathering our news.
So that's our bad. We apologize. So I don't know if you remember any top fans off the top of your head, but maybe we could just artificially attribute each of our
Sure,
stories
yeah,
to one.
I can imagine.
All right.
We can just come up with someone who submits
You
it.
better not say the one that I'm going to say.
Yeah,
then.
you guys
Oh,
are better
that'd be
not say
bad.
the one that I'm going to say.
Well, you're last, so you're going to
God's
so
sake.
about it.
However, if you'd like to guarantee a shout out at this
try.
point in the podcast, you need to go to patreon.com/Team TripleJump. Support us at the appropriate tier and become a podcast producer just like
Michael Pendlebury,
Andy Scott,
Chris Thompson's Thumbs,
Eric Thew,
Blake Thomas,
Nicole Hansen,
Craig Giggity,
GY Goliath,
Gabrielle Philippig,
and Big Money Bobby Vegas.
That was Big Money Bobby
Whoa.
Vegas
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
I feel like my blood sugar just dipped big time when we were reading that.
Really? Do you
suddenly.
want a
I'm
can
fine.
of drink?
No, I'm all right.
Do you want a
they're
biscuit?
sugar free anyway. Aren't
Oh, no, some of them are.
Some of them are sugary.
It's fine. I'm good.
You said that and your eyes looked so wild, like you were forcing them to stay open.
Let's see. And maybe I'll
Yeah.
go and get a snack before the big discussion.
Okay, we can do that. Let's get through the news. Peter, do you have a weird news? Thank you, podcast producers.
Thank you,
by the way.
podcast
Thank you
producers.
so much. Peter,
Thank you,
weird-
podcast producers.
Weird news, who's it from?
I'm just going to see if anyone has actually replied so I can just give their name, even though it won't be the
that's a good
story
idea.
that they...
Well, you can do it. You can tell
Oh,
us.
there's been one reply. So my news story comes from...
Yeah?
Oh, no, that's an ad.
Who is it? Who's the ad?
Christina Gabitas.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. No, this news story doesn't come from Gex at SnowyBoyYanio4 on Twitter, who actually posted something about... Oh, the big discussion, in fact. So we'll get to that. Thanks, Gex. But the story that I found is from Nintendo Life.
Random.
And the headline is, oh no,
Oh, no.
you can buy a life-size Gardevoir plush from Pokemon Center.
Of course you can.
This is written by Alana.
Somebody's
Haig.
going to stick their winky in it.
They
Somebody
are.
has already done it.
Yeah. We've seen lots of life-size Pokemon plushies over the years. Larvesta, Lucario, Arcanine or Arcanine, according to taste, multiple starter Mons, and Spheal. So really, it was only a matter of time before Gardevoir, I assume I'm saying that right, joined the ranks, right? Brought to our attention by Joe Merrick of Sarabi on Blue Sky, the Pokemon Center Japan has revealed a life-size plush for the Psychic/Fairy type Pokemon. It releases on the 6th of February 2025. Okay, someone has definitely already put their penis in it.
Yep.
And costs 49,500 yen. That's a staggering 320 USD or 260 GBP.
Well, realistic dolls are much more expensive than
And
that,
it's
so a
5
bit of a
foot
bargain.
tall.
It's 5 foot tall, Peter.
The plush is 160 centimeters tall, which is 5'3". That's only an inch shorter than this writer, it says.
Interesting stat.
Yeah, that's a little terrifying. Not to mention that Gardevoir is a pretty popular humanoid-looking Pokemon. We're sure people will be very normal about this. Yes.
No.
Currently, these are only available at the Japanese store, but we might see Gardevoir make its way over here eventually. Let's hope, it says. What do you think of the giant Gardevoir plush? Let us know in the comments. I'm just going to...
the comments say, can't wait to kiss it on the mouth.
Know your meme, Gardevoir. I was looking this up before, a dangerous thing to look up on the internet, but I looked it up before the podcast, and I found this terrifying copy pasta in the article. So someone at some point wrote this on the internet, and I hope they were joking a little bit.
Okay.
Gardevoir is literally one of the most flippable Pokemon there are. Okay. You're just mad because you're in denial. Let's start with fact now. Gardevoir's 5'3". This is not only the perfect height, but means they can also have enough height to be able to do anything you want. While being 5'3", Gardevoir is also 103 pounds. Right, let's stop there. For a start, how do you know how much the Pokemon weighs? Why do you care?
It does say in the game.
And, well, I'm sure it probably does, yeah. And how does that factor into... What is that the ideal weight? These beauty standards are
Some people like to get squished, though, don't they?
Well, they do.
Yeah. It's perfect for Gardevoir.
Yeah.
Apparently.
I'm not
saying it's too big or too small. When you say some people want to get squished, I don't know how much 103 pounds is.
It's not a great deal.
No.
It's not a great deal.
Oh, maybe they don't want to get squished.
Well, that's what I mean. People have been told their own sexual proclivities. Except for Pokemon.
Yeah, don't flip the Pokemon.
To be honest, I don't think I've ever seen a giant Pokemon plush that couldn't be used as a sex toy in some way.
Well, I guess any plush could be.
Well, yeah,
in theory.
exactly.
Oh my God, what are we talking
for
about
everyone?
Here?
Anyway, I have some news.
It's available now, yeah, Peter?
Yeah, for 320 USD.
Fantastic.
That's why I'm going to Japan. I'm going to get
Is it? You're going to bring us all back one?
I don't know if they'll all fit in my suitcase.
You have to buy
I might have to buy a plane ticket for that one, yeah.
Oh my God, you get on the plane, you have to board the plane with your wife.
With the weebs.
I bet that's happened before. Someone's bought a plane ticket for their...
Well, Andrew took his body pillow on the metro, didn't he?
Yeah.
Took it on a date, remember?
Yeah, but you haven't got to buy a seat for the metro.
He should have to. That's his wife. Be respectful.
Yeah, did you have a ticket, do you think? I have an article. It wasn't submitted by Jonathan Wong, top fan on Facebook.
You bastard. I was going to do that. Oh.
You just called me a bastard. That was not very nice.
I'll do it again. Still my
This comes from IGN by Eric Van Allen. Assassin's Creed Shadows art book leaks on a hentai site of all places.
I knew there was something I'd read this week. I was like, that should be weird news, and I couldn't think what it was.
Well, most of the articles, that's the most important bit, really. The rest of it just talks about the leak, but I think that's really funny. And then the subtitle is "History Will Judge Us." New details about the upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows are circulating online after an art book purportedly leaked on, among other places, a hub for hentai. Spotted over on r/gaming leaks and rumours, an art book entitled The Art of Assassin's Creed Shadows has been spreading like wildfire around the internet. It contains several hundred photos, I think it's like 250 pages of concept art, quotations, and development info surrounding the next Assassin's Creed. The leak itself is notable, but the post on Reddit also alleged it originated from a site known for hosting hentai. Bizarre, to say the least. IGN has asked Ubisoft for a comment. And that's basically it. The rest of it's about what the art book contains and such and so on. No hentai on it, which I think probably why it's been removed from the site, because they're like, it's not even got any hentai on it.
They're like, hey, by all means, leak stuff on our website, but it has to contain...
Yeah, it doesn't even finish our rules. Must contain boobs and tentacles. Yeah. So yeah, that's where it was. It's not there anymore, but... That's where it got leaked, which I think is quite funny.
Yeah. That's good.
Thanks, Jonathan Wong.
For sending that in.
Can't believe you did that.
You bastard.
You got another one?
Yeah, I do have one, actually. This was submitted by James Matthews. James Matthews? That's one, isn't it? No relation, top fan. Yeah. And there we are. This is from The Gamer, written by... mystery person.
It's there.
Oh, it's James
Matthews.
Troughton. It says... You can look stylish at Tesco with this $160 Disco Elysium carrier bag if you really want.
At Tesco. Not even you can buy this at Tesco and look stylish anywhere. It's like, no, you have to wear it just at Tesco.
You'd look so cool at Tesco.
Look, I get that fashion and cosplay can be expensive, especially when you're buying from a brand, but I have to draw the line
Especially when
here.
you're going to Tesco.
$160 for a single carrier bag. If you want a souvenir from the game, there
Plastic.
are prettier souvenirs. And if it's for cosplay, you can get a pack of 75 yellow carrier bags online for $10. If it's for style, why? As reported by Rock Paper Shotgun, ZA/UM and Atelier.
Zarum, I think it's.
Zarum.
Zarum.
Zarum. That's
They don't pronounce it ZA/UM.
Well, excuse me. How
No, I know.
to pronounce
I
that?
know that.
That's stuff.
But I think it's
isn't it?
pronounced like how it's written rather than
Zaum.
letters. Yeah.
Zaum and Atelier are selling the same carrier bag that Harry Dubois uses to collect bottles that he later trades for cash. The €159 isn't just because it's licensed merch, but because it's made up of an expensive Dyneema fabric that's 15 times stronger than steel.
Okay, so it's not actually plastic.
And
then.
stronger than Kevlar. I'm not sure what shopping requires fabric 15 times stronger than steel, but it's not the kind of shopping you'd do with a plastic carrier bag anyway. And this thing is tiny because in-game it's meant to be a bog standard plastic shopping bag, so you wouldn't fit anything heavy enough to rip it anyway. I suppose you could at least save yourself from getting shot in big Tesco, it says. There's the bag there.
So does it look like a carrier bag? Is there a picture of it like closer up?
Let me see if I can find that. I'll zoom it. That's it.
So it's made to look. Sorry, may I touch your phone?
Yes, you may touch my phone.
Okay, so it's made to look like a ratty old plastic bag
Yes,
you've
it
been
is.
carrying
Small
around for
carrier
ages.
bag, but can carry neutron star material inside
Sorry.
it without breaking.
Explosives. Thank you. The article continues. According to the website, this Disco Elysium styled carrier bag is the last you'll ever need, and I would hope so. At roughly £130 in the UK, you could buy 1,320 carrier bags for that price. If you were to go shopping once a week and use a single carrier bag, it'd be a light shop. It'd take you 25 years to get that many plastic bags. It's a weird bit of merch that fundamentally misunderstands the themes of Disco Elysium amidst a storm of controversy, layoffs, and spiritual successors. It all feels a bit grimy, and I'm not sure Harry would react all that well if you walked up to him with a $160 carrier bag while he scrounges for plastic bottles to get by.
Well, he couldn't shoot you because it's Kevlar.
Well, he could shoot you around.
I'm a bit annoyed that they haven't included a better picture of it than that.
I'll see if I can find one for you.
Because I want to know what it looks like. For reals.
Other articles did have better photos of it. I'll say
Right,
that much.
okay.
There we are. Can I? The carrier bag. Right, we're going to the website. Here we go. Is that you not? Oh god,
At
their
the top,
website's
can you scroll
horrible.
through that?
No,
Rubbish.
that's it. That's all they show.
Okay.
That's terrible, isn't it?
Because that just, I know that like the whole point is that it looks like his plastic bag, but it's annoying to me that
It's not even a
they
good
wouldn't
photo.
even show me
It's
what it
just
looks
low
like.
quality.
They're made to order apparently, so that I don't think they'll be making any.
Made to order.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
they've got to
out
hunt
of
down
like this amazing material.
Yeah, they've got to hunt and kill this
wonder
very
it's so
rare
expensive,
animal to
yeah.
construct the bag. So there we are. And that was weird news. It's time, everybody, for the big discussion. It's big discussion time. Time for the big video game discussion that this week comes courtesy of Chris McVeigh, who says, "Hi, BAP."
And
Hi.
Gex on the news
And
post.
Gex.
Yeah.
EA CEO Andrew Wilson has seemingly indicated that Dragon Age the Veilguard's underperformance, which we know contributed to a reduction in the company's financial forecast, was down to it not being live service enough. What thoughts, you? Is this a case of being hilariously out of touch? Simply an excuse for chasing that live service white whale? Proof of mismanagement? Anything else? I'd forgotten until now that Veilguard was converted from a live service game during production in 2021. So basically, what on earth is going on over there? I have a write-up. It's from Kenneth Shepard at Kotaku. Electronic Arts CEO Andrew Wilson recently spoke on an earnings call about the underperformance of Dragon Age the Veilguard, which reportedly reached 1.5 million players. This was apparently around half of what EA was projecting, but given the game was in development hell for a decade and was a sequel to a game that came out before millions of potential players had fully developed frontal lobes, it wasn't too surprising. Wilson, however, is convinced the reason the long-awaited RPG sold fewer copies than the company wanted is that it wasn't live servicey enough. That's not the sentiment BioWare fans want to hear, with the development of Mass Effect 5 still on the horizon.
Tell me you've never spoken to a real person without telling me you've never spoken to a real person.
On the earnings call, Wilson's answer as to why the game underperformed conveyed a deep lack of introspection on the effects that a long and difficult development had on Dragon Age. It also seemed altogether disconnected from the video game industry at large. In order to break beyond the core audience, games need to directly connect to the evolving demands of players who increasingly seek shared world features and deeper engagement alongside high-quality narratives in this beloved category, Wilson said. Dragon Age had a high-quality launch and was well-reviewed by critics and those who played. However, it did not resonate with a broad enough audience in this highly competitive market. In summary, he thinks Dragon Age would have done better if it was a live service game rather than the story-driven single-player RPG BioWare excels in creating. Multiple shifts in direction weighed down the Veilguard's 10-year-long development cycle. One iteration was an online multiplayer game with repeatable levels and all the live service stuff nobody asked for in a BioWare game, but the studio made a complete pivot after the critical and commercial failure of Anthem, the RPG studio's looter-shooter detour that became a cautionary tale for how forcing live service features into studios not built to make those games will only have diminishing returns. This kind of blinder wearing isn't new for EA though. The company notoriously claimed single-player games were finished, then changed its tune when one of its own studios had a recent success story in Respawn's Star Wars Jedi games, despite its competitors releasing critically and commercially successful single-player games the entire time. So it's not surprising that Wilson would attribute the Veilguard's underperforming to something EA can only contextualize in its own catalogue. The likes of Baldur's Gate 3 might as well not have happened if EA didn't make it. It says.
I think, I feel really bad about Dragon Age Veilguard because, I don't feel like that game deserves to have been slogged the way it has. I feel like there's a lot of people online who I'm sure will be in the comments talking about go woke, go broke, because it didn't just feature men, but not men kissing, because that's not allowed. I just think that there's a lot about the Dragon Age the Veilguard that they did really well, and the reason it has failed, I think, has nothing to do with the quality of the game or even the content of the game.
Yep.
It failed because, like they say, it was a sequel to a game that came out a long time ago. It had been in development hell for 10 years, but when you look at that aspect of it, this game turned out really well.
It did.
If you think about what it went through, to have...
It's shocking that it came out as well.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, people on the internet haven't got their frontal lobes, I don't think, developed either. So, it's just so mean. Shut up. I don't care. They haven't, you can't form an opinion unless it's, there's things are woke in this, therefore it's bad. And I think that's part of the problem as well, because there's a whole new area of gaming. And also, I don't feel like they marketed it very well.
No, they didn't.
Or at all. So
it was 4 months of marketing, if that. And that was it. We had a Summer Game Fest EA presentation or something where they had a little gameplay demo.
Yeah.
And that was kind of it.
It also came out in December, which is never a good time to release a game unless it's going to be a big holiday kind of blockbuster. Because unfortunately, people are saving up money for Christmas, which is why I didn't buy it. But yeah, there's a lot of reasons outside of it being this. But yeah, the live service angle is crazy.
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of it before it came out in terms of, apart from what was shown at the little showcase thing. But, in terms of trailers being fed to me online and stuff. And I think, the algorithm knows me well enough that I do get a lot of video game trailers when I'm having to watch ads on the internet, and I just didn't see it at all. It's so... Why can't there just be a consensus across the board? Because at the same time that EA are saying, not live servicey enough, we need to do more live service stuff in our games, Sony are cancelling all of their live service projects. And, you look at one company, they're doing one thing, you go somewhere else, they're doing something completely different. You'd think that, all right, I know they're all competitors with each other, but the stats available, even for games that aren't yours, but you can just look at what's going on elsewhere in the industry, you would think that broadly there would be some kind of consensus across the industry. But no, it seems it's case by case. Depending on which publisher you're developing for, you're going to be told to cancel your project entirely, and we're also going to downsize your studio and let you go because you were working on live service and we don't like that anymore. Or, hey, the game that you made, that single player experience that's surprisingly good from all I've heard, considering how long it was in development hell, the reason it failed is because you guys didn't do live service for it, or I mean, I'm sure they're not saying it's your fault, but it's EA's fault as well for those decisions. So that's the thing that baffles me the most about this, is not simply that he's saying we should have put more live service in there, which, you know, gives me the ick, as they say. But on top of that, it's the fact that elsewhere we're seeing what I consider to be a good move, apart from the fact that there are layoffs associated with it, which is that some live service projects are being cancelled or downsized, or projects are moving away from that. And I just wish that we could all kind of come to a conclusion, which is that there's space in the industry for a few big successful live service projects, and occasionally you're going to get Helldivers come out of nowhere and do really well. But hey, why not carry on with your Star Wars Jedi single player success stories, that kind of model? And it's got to be worrying for Mass Effect fans. I never had the pleasure of Mass Effect at the time. Didn't have a PS3, but I've always looked.
It was on 360, I think.
Was it also on 360?
It was mainly like one was exclusive, and then 2 came out quite a while before it did on PS3.
I mean, it passed me by at the time anyway, and I think, you know, but I've long thought I need to at some point go back and play Mass Effect. So I'm not a huge fan, but I can look in from afar and see the appeal of a single player game with a story like that, and a team that you can get involved in, and, you know, all the relationships you can form. And I've got to imagine that if live service is injected in a new Mass Effect game, can you have like deep relationships with NPCs in a game when there's also just your mates running around? I guess, you know, it's possible. You can write decent cutscenes and narrative into a multiplayer experience, but yeah, it's got to be a concerning phrase from EA CEO.
I mean, just look at like Suicide Squad. You have a game where it could have had a really interesting narrative, and it could have been a really interesting story and a good game and had lots going for it, but you suddenly add the element of every day you have to the TV's reset. Every day you have to come back and do the same mission in the same area over and over again, and every bit of the story is just you watch a cutscene and then do the same bit of gameplay again for the 5th time that you've done it. And then you just lose all momentum in the game, because you're just like, well, I'm just outside in a city. It's like, there's nothing here for me that's interesting. And I think that like, that's where, I think if you've got a single player game, it's easy to be like, well, it would have been better if it was live service. And you have a live service game and you say, well, it would have been better if we'd have just done single player. But realistically, like, these games fail and things like this happen because people like Andrew Wilson have got no idea what people want and what's going to work. They see trends from 2 years ago and say, we need to do that now, not thinking that games take 5 to 10 years to make at this point. And suddenly, by the time your game comes out, those trends that were popular when the CEO said, let's make that game, like, but make it ours, suddenly isn't popular anymore, or suddenly everyone's doing that, and there's no longer any space in the industry for that. There's no drive for innovation at this point, because it's just what's going to make us money. And we've talked about this before, where it's like, well, game companies don't want to try something new because it costs so much money and takes so much time to make, and if it fails, it's fails big time.
And it's got to vary franchise to franchise as well. Like, there might be various EA IP where they would actually do really well from doing a live service game for a certain thing. You know, if they, I mean, he talks about Star Wars doing well, or the article talks about Star Wars doing
They've
well.
got Apex,
single player. Apex, or Battlefront 3, for example. If they brought out that would be pretty much fully live service. That's probably a great way to do it, or Apex, as you say. But that's not to say that, well, you can just apply that model to everything we own. And therefore, you know, maybe Dragon Age should be live service as well, because we can see that live service works elsewhere in things that other people are producing or things that we've produced. It doesn't necessarily stand to reason that you can just stick that model on anything you own.
It's a baffling conclusion to reach. He doesn't even need to look beyond the end of his nose to know that live service is a phenomenal financial gamble. You know, you look at what Sony's been going through recently. You look at what EA went through with Anthem, like such a waste of money and time. Nobody wanted it. It wasn't very good. Why would your conclusion be to an RPG that took a long time to make, that underperformed? It happens sometimes. Underperformed, to say, well, I think the problem is that we didn't lose all our money on it. We only lost some money.
Yeah.
It's so mad. Like the live service graveyard is full. They're cremating these games at this point. There's no more room in the live service graveyard. How many times do these big publishers need to learn this lesson? And how many times do we need to see endless news stories about layoffs and this game's come out and its peak concurrent players is -10 somehow? It boggles the mind. And I don't know how much he's saying this is just lip service for shareholders, like, well, you know, if we'd have done the thing that, because I imagine there's phenomenal pressure behind the scenes. I'm not saying Andrew Wilson is not remotely complicit in this. He's probably the driving force for it. But I imagine there's immense pressure from on top to make everything live service. And there's a lot of pushback from developers and studios to say, no, that's not going to work. And here's why. And so it may well be that this sounds completely like comedically nonsensical because he's literally just saying it to appease probably the pressure that he's surrounded by constantly from shareholders who are asking him to make these live service games. But there's also an element that, as outlined in that article, Andrew Wilson-led EA, makes weird decisions and says stupid things on basically an annual basis, and then completely changes their mind when something does well.
Yeah,
it's shocking. It doesn't make a lick of sense, and they simply cannot make Mass Effect live service. They've had multiplayer for Mass Effect 3 before. That was fun. You could maybe add a live service element to that, but you might end up with a Last of Us Factions type thing where it gets too big and then actually it's just a waste of time. Let's cancel it. Just don't. You know what people want. And Dragon Age underselling and underperforming is not proof that people want live service. No. How could you get that? How could you add 1 and 2 and get 9? How do you do that?
Well, again, you look at Sony, and just because Helldivers did well doesn't mean that Concord's going to do well. You can't just take one case study and say...
Well, it's that tunnel vision, isn't it? It's like, well, if I'm looking at just what's in my... Like, I'm not looking at what the neighbours are doing.
Pick all my
I'm
evidence.
looking at my garden, and in my garden I've got one failing thing, which is the Dragon Age, and then I've got Apex Legends, and that's doing really well. Ignore that there's like a big pile of like Anthem in the corner, but like this must be these 2 games. There must be something here. I'm the only one who can see this. No one else is thinking about it. But yeah, it's just that whole thing of like, well, and again, it's the whole thing. Well, it'll work for us. Which is why everyone tries it. It's like, well, our thing will be different.
Yeah, it's not worked for other people, but ours.
But we know how to make it work.
Yeah, what if we do it with a beloved IP that nobody wants to see crucified in this manner?
Yeah.
They'll love that.
Or what if we do it with a brand new IP that no one has any investment in whatsoever?
Yeah.
And we'll have no interest in signing up for another live service game for a franchise that they don't even have any attachment to.
Or what if we take this game that's already like 95% single player, perfect RPG, and then just like tell them to whack it into a live service game, please? See, that'll be really good.
Baffling, quite frankly. And if they go down this path, their stock price is just going to drop and drop and drop. And that's sort of what they deserve, really. But unfortunately, the developers will. Yes. So they've got that coming.
Yeah, and that people are loving the way that looks, haven't they?
Yeah.
But that's not coming until 2026.
And they're probably going to make that basically unplayable with this sort of stuff that he's talking about. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen. It'll be the developers who eat flip if it fails. So hopefully we can avoid that. But there we go. Money wants money, and it will never stop. Never, ever stop.
No.
And that is the end of the podcast. Let us know what you thought about everything we discussed today. Thank you so much for listening and watching. There's a few places around the internet you can find us. Peter's going to tell you a couple of them now.
You can find our videos at youtube.com/Team TripleJump and our streams, sometimes on YouTube for special occasions, but mostly on twitch.tv/Team TripleJump, where you can also redeem your Twitch sub if you've got Amazon Prime. That bundle includes a Twitch sub. Redeem that against us at no extra cost and you get all the benefits of being a subscriber.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. We are Team TripleJump on all of those. And if you'd like to support us, it's patreon.com/Team TripleJump.
TripleJump.mup is our website. There you can find links to everything that we're doing. TripleJump.mup/video game will redirect to a Steam page where you can wish list the game that we're making. Why not leave a 5-star review on your platform of choice? It helps something to do with Al Gore's rhythms. Just enough time for this week's sponsor once again, which is of course Stinged on Bum. Stinged hang on. Stinged and Bum. Deliverpants too.
But it's not is it? It's I suppose it is deliverance. Deliverance. Pants. I hate it. I really don't like it.
Okay.
And I'm glad it's not real.
Could be.
All right.
Someone set up a company called Deliverpants Limited.
Really pushing Ashton's buttons today.
I didn't like it. Sorry.
Why is it such a visceral negative reaction?
I kind of feel
it's the hormones, and it's for some reason that's really annoyed me.
Stop saying it, Peter. You're annoying her. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't know.
The hormones have said that's the target of today's race. And do you know what? I'm fine with it.
It sort of makes them sound like they're 3 sizes too big. They're sort of like the material is sagging.
And also because punts is like you could punt someone. So I just keep thinking about punts. But that's also not what you're saying. You're saying punts. Yeah. And that is, I think, what's making me the most annoyed is that isn't a word. It's like, that's what's upsetting me.
You know, we could spend another half an hour dissecting this and why this is so irritating to you. But there we are. We're not sponsored by that, but that is the sponsor for today. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.